This is your daily playbook for more sex, love, kisses, hugs, affection, touch. How do I do that? What do I do? What do I do again, Jeff? What do I do again, Cynthia?
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra, with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares.
It's the C-Note Show with myself, Jeff Allen, and Miss Cynthia Cruz. We're both professional coaches in private practice.
Every day that I turn on the camera and turn on the Zoom and get to, because I really do think this is I get to be here. It's huge, and I deeply appreciate all the stories that all of you have shared and all the questions and the guidance that this incredible group of men offers and upholds for each other. And that's what I think I've started to see now in week 2 is, we all can be in the storm, but I see men holding each other up. I see men challenging each other. And I just can't even tell you enough what a pleasure it is to feel your energy in this space. So I truly thank you that I get to be here for this.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And where's Roger? Where are you coming in from? I see your picture now. Where are you from today?
Today I'm live from Mecca.
Oh, nice. So why are you prostrate on the ground, Roger?
It's not prayer time. It's not called a prayer yet.
My mistake.
Yeah.
I understand. From Mecca, Roger from Mecca. Well, we're going to call into Mecca later on. He's our reporter on the scene, Cynthia. I love it. It's so cool. Cynthia actually brought up, she brought up that we should have a spot. Where in the world is Roger? Doesn't have quite the ring as Carmen Sandiego, but we got to figure that out. Speaking of where in the world is Chevy Chase? Yeah, there's the tree he dug up in the forest.
Looks like the toad overestimated the height of his living room ceiling.
Hey, Griswold, where do you think you're going to put a tree that big? Bend over and I'll show you. You've got a lot of nerve talking to me like that, Griswold. I wasn't talking to you.
I wanted to start off today with, so he's got the mask, he's got the chainsaw, and he's fucking mountain lion, man, right? He's Fonzie. His comeback, bend over and I'll show, I wasn't talking to you, right? And so it's just beautiful. And he has no reservations, no fear of what he's saying. He doesn't fear what they're going to do. He doesn't fear what they're going to say. And he's just able to be Chevy Chase in full form, right? So this week we're talking about how do I escalate and dance up the stairs of intimacy, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy, and spiritual intimacy. How do I become that man that brings this out in my relationship and makes the woman feel like she wants to swoon for me and she wants to be close to me and she smiles when I touch her and she smiles when I bring her in for a hug. So these are our tools that we've been building throughout the week. So what's easy versus effective? We want to be effective. We're not wishing for it to be easy. We want to know and learn how to be effective. We want to know that we can change those feelings inside of her and we can become a new man. And we know that the way she's reacting right now is to the old us, okay? And when we're dancing up the stairs, we're not trying to jump up to level 10 of penis and vagina. I think I've said that way too many times this week, so that'll probably be the last time I say P and V. It's the P and V. And we want to be Fonzie, okay? So our choices are fight, flight, freeze, or Fonzie. We talked about nonverbal, verbal, and we're going to get more into the step 2 of verbal and some more physical today. What do I physically do? And notice, guys, it's Thursday, and we haven't even talked about specifically what I do physically, okay? Because we need to have connection non-verbally in the way we perceive her in our mind in that moment that we look at her. We need to think about honoring the beauty within her face for a few seconds right before we maybe think about the nasty stuff that's happened in life, or jump ourselves back to the disappointment or the crushing, let's say, reality of the situation, right? At the very least, she's going to be our co-parent, or we maybe want to be friendly with this person sometime in the future, or at the very least, we don't want like a drag out, burn the world down fight over divorce at the very least. Okay, so these tools will help you in all those areas. It'll help bring you to a point of where you understand each other at the very least, or to reignite her attraction to you, her interest in you, and you can control those things. So I can hear some guys thinking like, can I really control those things? Can I really perceive her in a different way and try these steps and actually make a difference? And Cynthia, I wanted to bounce this off of you. Can I really, as a man, affect how she feels about me, or is it just totally up to her or totally up to circumstance?
You can absolutely influence how she feels about you, with you. You have that power. I mean, I think even just this morning, I've already said it feels so good to be in the presence that you all hold. I also think, let's say, put it out there, the most maybe annoying thing about women is they're changing all the time. you know, I had a gentleman yesterday share with me, yeah, last night was great. She loved being touched by me. It was wonderful, so sensual. And then this morning, she's bitchy again. What happened? And so that like ever changingness is a struggle, but she's also ever changing. And she's always paying attention to the energy that you're holding. And that ever changing superpower in her means that you have a lot of influence and power in that place. So I would say yes, it's absolutely possible.
Yeah, thank you. To just to just confirm that we do have power within our own lives to affect the change that we want, right? There's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. And it's not your responsibility or your job. And you can't, of course, and you shouldn't try to control her. You can't fix her. You can lead yourself, and you can lead yourself within the relationship. And that's exactly what we're teaching here this week. Yesterday, we talked about verbal, the sensual words that you can use. If she doesn't respond well, it doesn't mean we did anything wrong in that moment. Okay. So Elaine, I'll call her in that bit with Chevy Chase, she's not going to like what he was saying. It doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Okay. If that was his wife, he probably wouldn't have insinuated to have her bend over and shove the tree. Well, maybe he would. Maybe he would. If she said, hey, where are you going to fit that? Like, I can think of some places right now where I might be able to stuff something. Let me see. And it depends on, and Roger can attest to this. It depends on where you are with the watermark of how she's perceiving your relationship. Okay. I showed this on the show. I showed this with Roger one-on-one as well. And so if the watermark of her anxiety in life, relationship, kids, work, pragmatics, her family, health, what else? Her friends, animals having trouble, whatever's going on, obviously what's going on in the world right now. So if her anxiety is higher, 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 and you're almost in a no-win scenario here where you're underwater, okay, you could say the same thing here and she's not going to like it. Or if her anxiety and stress and everything feels like it's going, let's say, better for her, or is less anxious, you say the same thing, she's going to enjoy that and laugh, even though you said it exactly the same way. Okay, so I call this her anxiety watermark. That's our going name right now. And sometimes she's not going to laugh at anything. Okay, and sometimes she's going to have a really great time almost no matter what you say, and you can really start to, let's say, escalate verbally much more easily. So we've got some, Cynthia, I'd love for you to take a look at the chat, and I'll have you jump in here in a moment. I'm going to jump back to our tool to get us to our edge today. Sensual words we talked about yesterday. Let's go down. We want to try these things at least 20 times before we even blink. I call it pressing pause on trying anything different. No other strategies. Try this, what we're teaching here, 20 times. Each step, 20 times step 1, 20 times step 2. And we're going to be getting to more physicality later today and tomorrow, Friday especially, on step 3. And we're assuming that basically you've either stumbled down the stairs yourself? You've stumbled down those stairs when you tried to jump up to step 10 and it was way too far and you tumbled back? Or within your relationship, she's saying she wants space, she doesn't want physicality right now. Maybe you're trapped in the same house together and sex is the last thing that's on the table right now, even though you'd love, of course, to have more hugs, kisses, affection, and sex. And that's our topic for today. So let's move into our metaphor, and Cynthia, you'll go ahead and share with me what's been in the chat. Our metaphor we're going to play with starting now is you're learning to play an instrument here, guys. Okay, you're learning to play the accordion, let's say. And how's it going to sound if I'm learning to play the violin or learning to play the accordion, right? It's going to sound like shit. It's going to sound terrible. And what she's wanting is for you to be a maestro with the violin. She wants you to be a professional accordion player. Because you know what? I heard on the radio this symphony playing, and I heard this master accordion player playing. And I know that that's possible, spouse, Jeff, I know that's possible. So why don't you learn to play the violin? Why don't you learn to play the accordion? Because that's what I want in a relationship. And what she's saying is she wants to feel a certain way, okay? She wants to feel like you're helping her lower anxiety and connect with her, not like that you're raising her anxiety. But if we start off playing the violin or the accordion, it's going to sound terrible. So she's not going to like it right away. Okay, it's like, oh God, he's kind of trying, but it sounds horrible. It's grating on my ears. It's just not, I don't like this. What are you doing? What are you doing? What books are you reading? What did this Jeff guy tell you to do? Like, I don't think it's the right way to go. I have all these concerns because it sounds like shit. Your accordion playing sounds like shit. Why don't you just give up? Because this is the same man that you've always been. Right now, I'm being a little forceful there, obviously. But the point is, we've got to practice, and she's not going to like how it sounds right away, but that doesn't mean you give up. That doesn't mean you stop. So please, Cynthia, give us your feedback on what you see in relationship, men and women, and where women are coming from when they want to hear the symphony. They want to hear a beautiful accordion playing. And the reason I talk about an accordion is because it breathes. It has to breathe like a relationship, okay, in and out. Why does she want something and then give man a really hard time when he's trying to learn exactly that thing?
Well, Jason would solve your problem he said that cellos are much sexier than accordions, so that's his recommendation.
Nice, Jason. Very nice. I'll take that into consideration. Yeah.
Yes. So why would she be so hard on him when he is moving in that direction? Like all of us, the heart of a woman can get really hurt. And if she for years has been stuffing hurt and frustration and irritation and feeling like who she is maybe at her core, maybe some of her more feminine attributes that maybe are, a little bit more inconvenient and they are not understandable sometimes, or sometimes they come across as disrespectful. And she maybe has felt that she's been judged for that, or she asked for something that she was really wanting and maybe she didn't do it very well. And so all those things stack up. And now when you are moving forward and inviting both of you into a different way of being, she's kind of wrapped a tightness around her that your invitation of vulnerability and connection, it probably challenges the wall she's put up. And she's really afraid that if she loses power, if she loses control, if she loses toughness and hardness, she will feel that kind of pain, disappointment again. And I say that probably, we talk about watermarks, probably some of that pain and disappointment, 90% of it is from little girl stuff and just dynamics in your relationship. That's why we get into relationship, to pull out these dynamics. Just, we're part of that story. And so that's what I believe you're feeling in those moments. And I'm really sorry for that, because that is a really tough thing to have to encounter.
Well, I'm going to bring up a question from the forum, and that'll segue beautifully into it. Looks like Andy raised his hand. If you guys want to chime in, if you have a question, if you have 30 seconds of a story that you want to share, not 30 minutes of a story, right? But 30 seconds of a story or a question for Cynthia, we would love it. So please, Andy, let's see. I cannot unmute you. There you go. Thank you. Please jump in.
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say, you made me laugh earlier there, Jeff, when you were saying about when you start to put in the work and you change how you become. One thing I first had with mine was my wife just thought I was going really weird on her, and my kids were accusing me. They called me Papa because I'm in Spain. They say, "Papa, what's happening to you? You're really weird." And like they even backed off on me for a while. And now my relationship is amazing with them, and I've got boundaries, and they feel totally secure with me that they didn't for a long time. But as far as what I found with now is my ex-wife, what Cynthia was saying, I mean, for me, trust takes a long time to build up with someone, and you can break trust in a split second. And if your woman starts to lose the safety that she's had with you, and she doesn't lose it immediately. These things start for me with your woman, maybe 2 years before they start to feel doubts and they start to lose their safety a bit. And so it's okay. You might be able to start feeling different within yourself, and you may start talking differently. But it's not just about talking; it's your actions as well, and that takes time. So when you say to repeat it like 20 times, 30 times, it takes a while, because to build up that wall that this person's put up for you, you can't expect to knock it down straight away. You've got to really be who you are, and that's your own self-practice as well. And that's what I found anyway. And even now, a year and a half on, I know I still don't have the trust back with my ex-wife. And I don't know if I will, but I've moved on. And that's okay, that's fine. With my children, I've got it. But you can't have expectations of, wow, I feel really different, I feel great, and my wife is going to be right back in there with me.
Yeah, I think Andy, I said, I asked Jonathan if it takes you just read 3 chapters of a book and you practice it for 1 week and everything's fixed, right? That's definitely not the case. So with your kids, Andy, with your kids, how long did it take for them to start to get used to this new normal of you being this way as a man?
A year and a half. A long time. A long time, because when you go through I'm divorced now, but when they went through the separation, it's hard for me. So for children, it's really tough, I believe. And my children went through a lot of insecurity periods, and they basically need to know that you're there. They want security from you. It took a long time. Because they go through a confused period. So yeah, I'd say a year and a half.
Yeah. It's like, I love how you smile, by the way, when you say that. It's so beautiful, honestly, is how I look at it. Because once you're past that, when you're 2 years, 3 years, 4 years past, what we want this to feel like is an amazing time in our life where we learned. Now, 2015 was the worst year of my relationship life. So I don't think that 2015 was an amazing time. But my growth of 2016, the end of 2015 and beyond to now, has been a blossoming and opening up, a pullback of the curtain and shoved behind the scenes that I never knew was there. I didn't even know it was there in the first place. So when if the bouncer rips back the curtain and throws you into the alley that you didn't think could happen, and you smash your face onto the cement wall and slide down, right? And maybe some dudes come out and give you a kick for good measure. That doesn't feel so great, right? That was 2015 for me. But realizing that, wow, I can actually dance with the energy that I'm learning here, and I can step behind that curtain myself, not be thrown out. Okay, I can step behind the curtain, and maybe I have a backstage pass now to go see the band. Okay, instead of just being thrown out because I was an asshole before, or because I was a nice guy that just forever placated her. Right, the things that we're learning. Absolutely. So let me jump to, thank you, Andy, I appreciate it. I want to jump to a question from the forum. Does anyone need to assume responsibility if the love I have to give is not the love that she wants or the love that she needs to feel supported? What do you think, Cynthia? Why do I need to change the way that I'm being because she's not perceiving my love the way that she wants? And looks like Kent's ready to come in once you give your response. So please, Cynthia.
That's I feel like there's two answers to that question. First, it's not our responsibility to, fill someone else's cup. And I think what's probably more going on in this situation is it is in our humanness. We love to connect to and love others, and our highest, most open place is just who we are as human beings. I think what happens a lot with women is there's different levels of desire and need. And I like to talk about like the bottom drawer desires as if she had like literally a chest of drawers here and the socks are on top. And, then there's the pants and, then there's the fun like lingerie on the bottom. But if she's trying to get her needs met in that like top drawer way where she's not really connected to a core human need of hers, then it's going to feel off and it's going to feel like work and it's not going to feel natural. And she'll ask for it and it'll be like, oh, I don't want to give it that way. And that's because she's not connected. And when I say like the deepest desire, let's say a woman's top drawer might be, I want to feel better about myself. And so I want him to compliment me on how I look every day. And if he doesn't, then my heart's hurt and he's not giving me affection. Whereas if you go deeper, like what's the desire in her beneath that, and like that? Oh, she wants to be seen for her and known for her character, for her skill, for her beingness. To me, when someone's coming from their deepest place like that, the issue of that's not my way of loving, I don't think it comes up as much.
Yeah, Kent. So please come in. Give us some feedback on what's hitting my mind right now. Is I've always got to call the men out, right? So how skillful are we at drawing out those bottom drawer desires, as Cynthia said, or how skillful is she at presenting them? Even right? There's you, there's her, and then how skillful are we each within the relationship? So please jump in, Ken.
Right. No, that's good stuff, Cynthia. I really appreciate that. There's always been. I guess I'll start by saying I've always felt like I'm my biggest critic. So when when it comes to her happiness or her satisfaction in the relationship, I seem to have always tried to morph myself into what she wants. But then I feel like I've also kind of lost my identity in the whole situation as well. So she's always been a person who's been very high energy, very over the top optimistic and positive. And not that I'm not, but I feel like I'm more like down to earth. And I think it's almost a view of me that I'm not filling her cup. It's funny that Cynthia used that exact word because that's the words my wife uses all the time. Basically, you're not filling my cup. Like I'm not to her level of energy. I'm not to her level of acceptance or, her level of outwardly showing love. Just because I'm not doing it outwardly enough doesn't mean that there's not love there. So it's become ultimately frustrating for me, especially the last several months, thinking about our past and, how our marriages looked and, kind of what we've culminated to now in this separation.
This not enough. When is the last time that came up?
About 36 hours ago.
Okay, give me
20
20 seconds of scenario around that.
Basically, it was a fairly open conversation. I basically asked her, what she's missing, what she wants. She just says she wants and deserves to be happy at the utmost level, and she deserves to be able to look back on life and says she lived life to the fullest. And we have a great home, we have a great family, we've built a life together, and in my eyes, that's success, and that's a great, healthy way to live. And I think her views right now have evolved, I guess, maybe changed, I don't know. But it's been, when it comes back to me not filling her cup and her not being happy in our current life, has been very, very heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, I want Cynthia to jump in here too. And Kent, we know your story over the past week and a half or so from sharing different bits, and I really love and appreciate that and being a part of the show. So I appreciate you. Um, do you know what she means by live life to the fullest? I mean, I'm not sure what you're going to say here. Do you know what she means by that?
Um, she's alluded to it, that she says she wants to be able to look back when she's on her deathbed and know that she changed people's lives, that she brought happiness to people, and and it brought smiles to people's faces. That's pretty much her story.
So, so play with me here a little bit, right? Like
Mhm.
that's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think about those things as well. I think about wanting legacy in my life, and I think about wanting to bring happiness to our children and our family too. And I'm purposefully shutting up because then the woman would say something. So what would she say next?
She would probably thank me and probably respond positively, like I've actually listened to her.
Oh wow. What's really interesting, Ken, I wasn't fishing for a particular answer from you, but what's
Mhm.
interesting is I just shared from me, like
Yeah.
really actually from me. And you perceived that she would think that she would like that. She would like that you were on the same level, basically, and then I'm validating her. Is that true?
Correct.
Oh,
Absolutely.
well, that's super cool. I wasn't sure where that was going to go, and you're smiling, so I guess that's looks like okay, Jeff, either you caught me or that's a good point. Which one of it? Which one is it?
No, it's a good point. And honestly, I've reflected a lot on myself and how I've been, and you know, um, there's times that I haven't been as supportive, or it's a lot of energy to keep up with that level of you know uh, energy, I guess, if you want to put it that way. So um, I know I haven't been 100% what she's needed, but I think her her needs have fluctuated so much that it's hard to know exactly what she wants from, feels like, from month to month or year to year. So
Sure, and I completely give you that. I completely give you that. You also said there, if I'm not mistaken, that it's hard to keep up with that level of energy with her. Is that what you
mhm,
said? What do you mean by that? Because when I just did what I did, it was like no energy at all. At least
right,
to me, it felt like no energy at all. Maybe I had more
true.
practice, but so what do you mean by that?
Um, I'd say it's you know call me very old school, call me an old soul, I guess, if you will. She has needs to want to go out, feels like, every weekend. She has needs to go do and be, and she is a very outgoing person, and I'm more introverted. And I feel that we do go to a lot of sporting events, we go to concerts, we go to things like that. But then sometimes, I just want to take a deep breath and sit back and chill for a weekend. So when we're not, or it feels like if there's a stretch where we're not filling her cup or doing things to her energy level, what she wants and desires, then things start to unravel in our relationship, and she, becomes very defensive, and she does not, appreciate, does not think I appreciate her. But then if there's ever a weekend, where we uh, where I want to just chill for a weekend, it seems like she bolts and does something on her own. So which has been fine, but it's been very kind of strenuous on a relationship.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I'm going to make an assumption here based off of what we've heard from you and your story, which I love over the past week and a half, which is you're kind of you're bringing a lot of scenarios into the same example for us here, right? Like over the
Hmm.
whole relationship, and so I understand there. Um, Is there anything more you want to offer before I give a little feedback, Kent, and then I want to bounce it to another question?
No, go ahead.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And please jump in. I see a question in the chat, and I'd love for you guys to raise your hand and give us 30 seconds of your story and a question if you like. And this is going to apply to what you're talking about too, Kent. I spoke with Roger about this yesterday and Cynthia this morning, in that a way to handle what you're talking about, Kent, is to differentiate date night. And I just kind of pulled this out of my ass yesterday, so go with me here, guys, right? Differentiate date night. Okay, maybe you want date night together, like the therapist says and the books say, and everyone's like, oh, plan a date. Well, what if she's not wanting a date? What if she's overwhelmed with kids or stress or work or wants space? So Ian even says, I often hear that she needs space and freedom. How do you bring this into the steps? So she may not always want to go on a date with you, and she may want to go on a date with kind of herself or her own friends. And so what I differentiated, for those of you that are still having intimacy, this third thing I'm going to say is, if you are still having any form of intimacy at all, if it's zero, and we talked about this other day, Kent, right? Then you need to know what you want for your own self within intimacy before you ask her that. Right? But there's dates for the both of you, and there's dates that she has on her own. And the dates that she has on her own they're not with kids, obviously. They're not intended to be anything stressful, and no fair that she works during these dates for herself. And so you can offer her the choice. One thing as a man that, we'll read in No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover, or the book Hold On to Your Nuts by Wayne Levine, which I recommended last night. And there's Chris on here. I'm not sure if it's the same Chris, but I spoke with a Chris yesterday. I recommended Hold On to Your Nuts immediately. Fucking get it tonight and start reading it. That's about boundaries. Is, plan a date night. What do you want for yourself? This kind of thing. Well, give her an option as a man, right? Give her an option. Like, I'd love to have date night. Do you want to have date night together this time, or do you want to have date night on your own this time? She's like, well, what the hell does date night on my own mean? Oh, that means that you are free to plan, whatever you like, but no fair working. Roger said she goes shopping, or she has lunch with her friends, or she, whatever, goes to a movie by herself or something, this kind of thing with her. It's something like this where she can choose. Would you like a date night together or date night on your own? Okay. This makes her feel like she can obviously choose. She's not backed into a corner, and she can share with you her choice, her feelings. And by the way, you do that 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row, and she chooses, I'd like date night on my own 4 times in a row. That gives you information, and it gives you information when you sit down and speak about, let's say, the relationship during your next relationship conversation, or the next coffee that you have. So you sit down for coffee. Hey, I wanted to bring something up. Right? That's the preface. I want to bring something up. I just want to know, I've been noticing that the last few times I've suggested a date night, you've chosen date night on your own. Please tell me more about that. I'm curious to hear more about that. So I want to jump it over to Cynthia. So Cynthia, if you had no knowledge of this, and you're Ian's, Roger, you're funny, and in the chat there, and let's say you're Ian's wife, which I read about in the forum, and I'd love for you to jump on, Ian, but let's just say she wants space. It's all I know about you right now. Let's assume that she wants space. How do I bring date nights, or how do I bring sensuality and the steps of intimacy in? And if I come to her as Ian and say, hey, there's a choice, date night together or date night alone, how does that make you feel as a woman when I bring that choice to you in that context?
It actually, I was just paying attention to what my body did, and it makes me feel really free, like free, but not disconnected. Like there's an anchoring place, and that it's okay that I can take time and space for myself, but that doesn't mean that the relationship space has been harmed. And I really like, Jeff, how when you model and you start these questions with words like, hey, how about, or I would like to talk about. And you've also in the past used the preface so, or you would say, and then you would kind of talk to me. There's something about that key word that's very kind of brings an emotional resonance. It puts an emotion on the table first. It's like an opening of the door before making a request. And I have just started noticing what a difference that makes to me, when Jeff, you say like, hey, I would really like to talk about this. It makes me feel open and like it's going to be a safe space to do that in.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that preface, and I'll swing it into our metaphor of today of learning to play the violin or learning to breathe the accordion, is you're learning just how to warm up the instrument. Okay? So the preface of, hey, I was thinking about something, right? Or say, I want to ask you, and then pause. You're not steamrolling, you're pausing. That's you warming up your instrument basically. It's you can learn to play one note pretty well to start with, and that gets you into the conversation, that gets you into the moment. Okay, instead of just trying to blast steamroll through a whole song that you know you're trying to play hot cross buns on the violin or something, whatever the first song we learned on the recorder was, and it sounds like hell. Okay, don't do that. Don't try to steamroll, right? Preface and then ask a calibrated question like we're talking about. So the three, it's date night together, date night alone, or the third one is, hey, I'd like to have sexy time tomorrow. Okay. Maybe you call it something different. I'd love to have some intimate time with you tomorrow. I'd love to run a bath and have some time with you tomorrow. Okay. You're going to know right off if she's ready for that, or if maybe you jumped in with the words that you're saying, the sensual words that you're saying are too strong. If you say, hey, I'd like to have some sexy time tomorrow, right? It's a sensual word, but maybe it's too much. So maybe you need a safer sensual word. So I'd love to have some closeness with you tomorrow. I'd love to have some excitement with you tomorrow night. And that means you must keep sex off the table if you're not up to where you want to be in intimacy. So I want to use this as an example of emotional connection and physical connection. Right? And so where you are in the moment is going to dictate how basically far up the stairs of physical intimacy that you can go. Now this is simplified, but it's for a point. It's a learning point. Now, sometimes she may want zero physical intimacy, but you might be connected more emotionally. So a woman that would say, I'm just not interested in having sex again. I've had the 3 children and I'm a mother now and I'm not interested in sex at all. But she loves to, but you have decent emotional connection and she's got 0 on the staircase. That's a hard situation sometimes. Okay. And how do we open that box is something that I would love to talk with you one-on-one. Or on the forums, it's a longer discussion. But if you're having some intimacy, right? If there's no trauma in her past, usually that where she wants 0 is there's been trauma in her past. Right? That's a lot of the case there. Now, if there's some intimacy, you don't want to dance higher than your current range. You want to dance up, let's say step 7 here in this example. And you have to have emotional connection at least up to the level of where you're trying to dance physically. So if back to our watermark here, if she's overwhelmed with anxiety, and so if her connection with you feels like it's much farther down in the steps, if she's at she feels a 3 or 4 right now in her connection with you, you're not going to try to dance above a 3 or a 4 physically, even though that's normal for you. And that's in the moment. So if you're having a date night together, or you're saying, hey, I'd love to have sexy time. Well, can I go for sex, or do I want to plan on a massage? Do I want to plan on, having her rub my feet too? I'd love for you to rub on my legs and on my back. I would love that. These are things you can ask for during that sexy time. Okay. And this is a dance, guys. This is a staircase. So if that's not appropriate for you, maybe you just need to say, I'd love to take a walk for you at sunset. And when you take a walk at sunset, you hold the tips of her fingers like Cynthia has recommended. Or if, let's say, the next step is putting your hand on her back while you're looking at the beautiful sunset, saying sensual words to bring up her feelings of emotional connection with you. Okay? So if her feelings of emotional connection come up, then you have the possibility, if she's not feeling underwater emotionally with anxiety, if she's not feeling underwater, that's how you start to dance up and down the stairs. Okay? I love some feedback, guys. This is like a draft. okay? How I'm presenting this is a draft. I see Ian raise his hand a while ago, and I'd love for him to jump in. So while you're thinking here, and while Ian and I are speaking, if you have a question, please ask about what I'm presenting here, because we want to hone this. Okay, if you have a question for the chat or a question in the Zoom, raise your hand. I'd love it. So Ian, if you're ready, I'll try to unmute you here. Yeah, go for it. Yeah, please.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry to drag you all the way back to ground zero.
No,
Though.
please do. Please do.
Because what Cynthia was saying earlier on really resonated. I say, I've been looking back. It's been about 18 months from when my wife, I think she first said she felt she was going through the menopause and really started to switch off. Certainly physically, maybe not emotionally, and we started working on ourselves, doing more exercise, and about 6 months in, it seemed out of the blue that she asked to open up the relationship, and it took me back a little bit. But again, I think I was in nice guy mode and trying to just to keep her happy and just say, okay, fine, we more of a liberal thing, and the idea of it, fine, okay, we'll just talk through it and see how we go. But that weighed a lot emotionally, I think, on me. And about 6 months in, it was really bang on my mind, and I became very controlling, very needy, and I think that put a lot of pressure on her, and she started to move away down physically and emotionally, even more so. And that was about 6 months ago, and now we've been talking about separation. We struggled obviously with the COVID, so we're still living in the same house, but we're in separate rooms. And the touching, there's no physical touching between us. There's no kiss goodbye. There's no kiss goodnight anymore. And all of those things gradually got to this point zero, which is where we are now. Although thankfully, a month ago, I started on the call and I've done some work, and things have been for myself looking up. I've stopped being the needy, emotional, nice guy, and started to move away and working on myself, doing more sport. I've got the bike, as you've seen, doing some spinning, getting into friends. I've met Andy and got some books, starting reading the whole psychological, understanding the mind. It opened a whole new chapter and starting to try to understand that. And I do feel I get dragged back down emotionally with the lack of contact or the lack of physical and emotional connection that we used to have, and seeing that not there anymore really drags me back down. And it seems hard, even just to try and step up and speak and do all the things that you're talking about. It's hard to start again when I know we were there, but I have had some frank conversations, and we don't argue. We've never been a couple that argues, but in the conversations that she's having for me, and I understand, and I've started to look back at what I've been doing, where I may have been showing up to the relationship, and trying to understand where she is, and how, looking back, how she's been upset and afraid of where maybe this relationship's going. But now trying to move forward, I feel she doesn't want to try and make that step to move, or to try and have a date night, or to even have a holding hands. So how do I even move on to the next step, or try and do all these words, or is it time just to step back and just to say, right, okay? So yeah, that's where I am.
Yeah, I'd love for Cynthia to jump in. The one thing I want to say is, do you know what you want going forward here? If she still wants to be with other men, do you know what you want? So I'd love for Cynthia to jump in as well.
Thank you so much, Ian, for sharing your story and the rawness that you have been through and continue to hold space for. I loved what Jeff just said about you getting to investigate what you're really wanting. I mentioned earlier about, women having different levels of desire and the most authentic bottom drawer desire. When we dive into what we as human beings are really wanting for our life, and we go level deeper, level deeper, level deeper, and it's not so much about, and it has to be with this particular person. There's a great amount of clarity and a little bit of relief that can come because it's so true to us, and we're so in the knowing place that it's what we want, and it helps us take steps forward. So that was kind of like the big picture. If she's not wanting, any physical connection, like even the holding the hand or something, I would really invite her into a conversation about that. Like say, I would really love to talk to you about our relationship, and share with her, you know, your deepest desire, your vision for relationship, and outright say, is this something that you want? And give her a chance to say yes or no. So right now it seems like this kind of a cloudiness of two people not knowing exactly what they're wanting. So that conversation could be really good and really invite her into a reopening place.
Yeah, we have. I mean, have had that conversation actually earlier on today. We had a conversation in that sense, and I think we are on two different paths. And what Jeff said there, what I want is what I'm trying to now to discover. Now that I've got this feedback from her, and I do feel she doesn't want to carry on this path, or doesn't feel the relationship is able to get her where she wants to be in terms of excitement, in terms of where we have been in the past. And so it's now looking, yeah, as Jeff said, what do I want to do? Am I happy with that? Or is it time to step back and to work on myself and maybe see where we are in a few months' time, or just say right now, okay, fine, let's both go our separate paths now. And then, hey, who knows in the future how things work out.
Yeah. And that is absolutely you get to choose absolutely what is best for you, whether it's space, work on self, or move on and work on self.
Yeah.
Your story, Ian, reminds me a little bit too of what Kent was speaking about. Kent's wife is she really believes in the energy of having a purpose. And when you as a man are, yes, you're working on relationship space, but you also have this confidence in yourself that you as this person, as this man, are giving something truly great to the world. And in every day you are practicing being in your purpose that is entirely separate from her. She's not your purpose. You have something totally unique. That energy that a man holds, the two of you don't have to be doing the same thing all the time. It is so compelling when a man is standing in his knowledge of his gifts and taking his sword out into the world. It is so attractive, and it's polarizing, and it can soften a woman and open her heart, and she wants to be part of that adventure that he is. And so whether you practice that with her or you go into the world, practice that on your own, is going to have huge dividends for the affection and the connection that I'm sure you're wanting very deeply.
Yeah, it's been certainly for myself a couple of years of you get into a comfort zone. Your purpose at the time, I think, is working towards the family, towards building a home, and working, and you come and you get to a point you've achieved that, and you think you're there at your purpose. And this maybe, and I certainly myself, I've left sport by the side, don't do as much outside, and okay, go out with some friends, but maybe not so much. It's more with family. I'm in Spain as well with Andy. And I just, looking back now, I've left myself, I've shelved my interests and my desires a few years ago, And that's one of the things, yeah, definitely I need to get back and focus, as you say. But it's only now that I've realizing this. Maybe if it had been a year or so before, then maybe things would be different.
Yeah, I'll, and I've been there as well, Ian. I think that's how we all come to this. Is if we were to be able to understand this proactively, or have learned this from other men, or our father, or an elder tribe of men that were in our lives, that would have been great. But it's great that we're coming this now. So I want to lay something out for you. Pragmatically, a woman needs to respect you, to potentially be attracted to you, to potentially fall in love with you. Okay. And if we violate our own values and our boundaries, she won't respect us. So if your boundary is, I'm not going to have a relationship with a woman if she's seeing other men, and I can say that in a positive way, I want to have an intimate, monogamous relationship with a woman. Okay. And if I violate my own boundaries, she won't respect me. And if she doesn't respect me, she can't be attracted to me, and thus she cannot love me. Okay. So that's where we're back to is, I need to respect my own self. I need to know my values and my boundaries and my wants for my own self, so I can even move as that man into the world, so she can even have the opportunity to respect me. Okay. So that's exactly where you are. So how does that hit you when I lay that out? She needs to respect you first before being able to be attracted or fall in love with you.
Yeah, I completely. And you go back, I think, to one of the nuts, which
right.
is one of the things I had in the background, and it was certainly one of the cornerstones. But I didn't stick by it, or maybe compromised to keep the peace, to keep things happy. And I realise now that's not who I am. That's not the case, and that's one of the things. Yeah, I will establish, and I came out of the conversation earlier on today as well.
Yeah, because that's the nice guy traits of abdicating our responsibility, or falling back on our own values, or thinking that there is no us, just thinking that there's the relationship and her, right, without any us. And we lose ourselves. We lose our oak tree roots that ground us in who we are, and that fucking makes us attractive in the relationship in the first place. So if we don't have those oak tree roots to respect our own self, then she can't respect us, and then she can't be attracted to us if we don't respect ourselves and uphold those boundaries. That's exactly right.
One of the things you talk about roots, I do feel I felt that I had two pillars supporting me. One was my family back in the UK, and my wife. And when we were in the UK last summer as well, I had an argument with my mum, and we left, and on not the best of the terms. And then this came up with my wife, and it just felt that everything had been knocked away from under me, and those pillars that I had made for myself, whereas they shouldn't have been there in the first place. I should have been on my own and had my own roots, and been with my own self-confidence. That both those pillars that I felt were there supporting me were knocked from under me as well, which really not with mistakes.
Yeah, that makes me think. About 30 seconds ago, I quickly typed something I want to share, and that makes me think about, there's different types of confidence. Okay. I mean, you could even put, of course, maybe there's family here that's supportive, but really this is confidence within your own self. What's confidence within your own self? And I learned this from Steve Horseman, right? So there's behavioral confidence, which is, what do I do? What do I say? How do I act? And then there's our own emotional confidence within our own control. Basically, you could say, like, am I emotionally stable if I'm not getting that source of validation from her? And spiritual is, what's the purpose of my life? What's my mission in life? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What's my adventure? What's my battle? What's my beauty, as I've said in other shows? Okay, so these are different types of confidence. So even within yourself, right, we talked about, well, how do I move forward from here? How am I getting my own emotional stability, maybe through my family or my friends, or steeping yourself in this work with men like this, and with me and Cynthia on the C Note show, or our private Facebook page? And what is my purpose in life? What is my mission as a man? And if we don't have a purpose or a mission right this moment, our mission is to find our mission. We talked with Kent about this, right? So I can be on fire for exploring what I'm excited about in life. I can be on fire for Googling different places I want to travel in the world because that's important to me, right? I can be on fire for going for a bike ride this morning, and that's my mission for the next hour. And I'm fucking into that mission. And by the way, if you're into your mission and you're riding your bike and a woman goes by, you know, you pass by a woman or such, and she's biking as well, she's going to feel you on a mission on that bike. And that's all you needed in the moment. I don't know if you just saw, but Cynthia gave like 2 giant thumbs up in the screen. Go ahead and jump in, Cynthia, please. Give us your feedback on that.
Oh, you just illustrated that beautifully. And that man on the bike, he can be 99 years old and he will still have that same impact on me. I even feel, you know, even in younger people, even in young guys who are just kind of coming into manhood, you feel the power and the mission in them. And it is warmth, it is presence, it is power, and it is absolute respect that I feel in my body.
So Ian, we're 12 after noon here. What time is it there in Spain?
It's 8:05 in the evening.
I love that. So cool. Phenomenal. We've got all over the world, guys. So cool. Ian, is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Just to say thank you, really. I think just for putting these shows on. And certainly what I've felt is that from the initial advice, because I went to friends and family, a few to speak about these issues before, and none of them had the advice or the insight that you're giving out, or that these groups have, with men having the same and sharing the same experiences. And it's really helpful, which is why I think I've been talking a lot with Andy, and he's been a very, very good sounding board for me to focus. And it feels to me it's about bringing yourself back again. It's very easy to get distracted and emotional and lose your way, but it just needs these calls or a call to Andy just to refocus myself and to get myself back on track. So yeah, again, once again, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're so welcome, man. I really appreciate that. Awesome. So guys, this was the C Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. If you want to connect with us, you can go to greatmenmovemountains.com/C-Note for this show, or you can do /contact to get a hold of us one-on-one for our one-on-one coaching. Men kick ass. Over about 4 or 5 months, we get you back to where you want to be. And I could talk with you more about that. We never charge for our first call, guys. So if you want to ask a question, if you want to ask about, well, the forums or what else can I do, what books do you recommend, we're here, right? We're here for you. So go there, guys. This is our heart. I always say business and heart and business, and this is our heart. See you guys tomorrow, every Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. Mountain.
I'ma tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burn hot. I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra, with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves.